So obviously we're all really excited with the recent Pulse pump. So we're all sort of watching carefully as the price of Pulse continues to climb. One of the things though it does actually highlight for us though, and that is that there seems to be a bit of a lack of understanding in terms of how the protocol works when it comes to redemptions. So people need to understand that a redemption is not the same as a liquidation and certainly not the same as repaying your own debt. So effectively what a redemption is somebody's decided to they see an opportunity in the market. So, for example, the price of USDL might be a little bit below peg. And as a consequence of that, because of the fact that the way redemptions work, $1 worth of USDL can actually acquire $1 worth of Pulse. So if you've got something that's a little bit down in the market and you acquire some of that, you can actually then use that USDL to acquire more Pulse. Now, how that is done on the liquid loans protocol is that people can go into the redemptions area and decide to actually start to redeem against the lowest collateralized vaults. So how is that different to a liquidation? Well, a liquidation obviously is where you've got too close to the margin, too close to the 110% collateral ratio, and your vault is liquidated. So effectively, your USDL is retained, Pulse is lost, and effectively your vault is closed out. Whilst the redemption is very similar, effectively somebody's decided to say, hey, we're going to pay your debt off for you. And they'll go in and they'll redeem Pulse on the basis that they've used the USDL to acquire the Pulse. And in doing so, what they're basically doing is that they're actually getting rid of your debt, which is fantastic. You still get to keep your USDL, but by reducing the amount of Pulse that you have in your vault, your collateral ratio will increase, but at the same time, the net effect is that you've basically been redeemed against and you've lost some of your Pulse. You haven't lost anything in terms of financial benefit because you've actually acquired the USDL earlier, but your position's a little bit lower, and in some cases people are completely redeemed against. Now, how can you protect against that? Well, there's a number of written articles about this, so you'd have to go to our website, some of our YouTube content to help you understand how redemptions actually work. But in this market where the price of Pulse is going up quickly, it's very noticeable that you're going to see a lot more people redeemed against, particularly if the price of USDL is a little bit below peg. So you can imagine people are buying Pulse at a discount, particularly given the gap between USDL price and the actual price of Pulse continuing to increase. Now, a couple of things to bear in mind. If there is too many redemptions, the redemptions fees go up. Now, that makes it a little bit harder for someone to arbitrage because they have to take that percentage into consideration when they're actually looking to redeem. And so there's an element of, okay, there's some bots that will actually do some smart math to work this out. And we fully anticipate that this is happening. So people just need to be mindful of that. So effectively, the way that the redemptions will work is subject to how many vaults are redeemed against. It's really about how much debt is in front of you. So what does that really mean? It's like having a race. And if you're at the back of the queue, your vault's at the lowest level of collateral ratio, regardless of what that is. If somebody wants to redeem Pulse, they will do so, and they'll use your vault to be able to redeem from. So in effect, what you're wanting to do is to make sure that your position or the amount of debt in front of you is higher than your own position. So in effect, what you're basically doing is you're protecting yourself from being redeemed against. And so I think there is an opportunity for us to perhaps provide some indicators, and the debt in front indicator may be something that we'll introduce just to help people understand that, look, redemptions will happen. That's part of the protocol. It's how things work. But effectively, you can protect yourself against that by understanding, well, how much debt's actually in front of me? So in other words, how much would have to be redeemed before my vault's affected? And so long as you know that, you can also monitor that and regulate that on an ongoing basis. But our view has always been the easiest way of protecting yourself against redemptions is make sure that your collateral ratio is quite high. And there's a whole bunch of folk that actually have a lot more debt in front of you that will be redeemed before your vault's affected. So guys, hopefully this has been of help to you. We will make some changes to the DAP. We'll introduce the debt in front measurement so that you've got some sense of that. We'll explain that a little bit further. More than likely, WALLRUS will speak to this a little bit more in the future. But we're really happy with the way the protocol's working. And hey, we're also very happy to see Pulse price increasing, but we just want to make sure that people understand how the redemption mechanism works and that you do everything you can to protect yourself from being redeemed against. So guys, hopefully that's been of help.